Yeah. So yeah, we want everybody to be comfortable, have a good time, enjoy this, and get a lot of value out of it. What I realized was that I was getting. I realized early on that every week in this thing was different. Every single week was different, and that everybody was impacted in different ways. And so what I found was helpful was getting a couple of three or five or my clients together, and just I have a bit of a format which I'll go over in a minute, and then um, sort of getting out of our own heads and using the heads of other people in business. And I realized that there was some value, and they were getting value and wanted to do more of it. So I decided to start these for as many people as want to join. And so, yeah, I'm gonna plan to do a bunch of them. I've never actually done one with people who sort of weren't familiar with what was going on with what I do. And I mean, you guys, I've met both of you guys before, in person or Zoom or something. But yeah, so I think it's useful. So I mean, the format is pretty simple. Hang on, I got David joining. The format's pretty simple. Um, we'll just do quick intros, a little bit about who you are, what your business is, so we get a feel for it, and kind of what your current situation is based on the current thing, and then we'll talk a little bit about some wins. We'll hit some challenges. We'll talk about what we've learned through it together, and then if there's like specific things you need help with, we're going to use the group to brainstorm that for you, and then we'll talk a little bit about the value you got out of it in that way. So that's sort of the format. Does that sound good? All right, good. So let's introduce everybody. Yeah, you can choose on your thing if you want to stay muted or not muted. There is a trick that the if you mute yourself, the space bar will unmute you temporarily if you just want to hold it down. If you've got a computer, that's a you don't have to. I'm good. I don't think we've got too many people on here where it'll be a problem. So yeah, yeah, not sure what's going on there. All right, so let's just start with Russ. Why don't you just tell us who you are, what your business is, and kind of what the current situation is?
I'm Russ Trueluck. My company is Inform. We're a 32-year-old company in Arden that handles print management, promotional products, labels. We also own corporate apparel branding, and we provide screen printed and embroidered apparel and other items. Our situation right now is we were early on applied for the PPP. Were approved because we had a small business loan. We'll be closing at the end of the week. So we've got 8 weeks taken care of as far as payroll. Things, to our surprise, have come in pretty well as far as receivables to this point. And our business is somewhat soft right now. The phone's not ringing as much as often, but as you can see from this, I'm not a millennial. So I'm used to speaking to people on the phone as opposed to things coming over from a standpoint of texting and that type thing. And so others in the organization are having a different situation. But I'd say we're probably down at this point over the last 2.5 weeks, 50%. But a large portion of what goes out, of course, is payroll. So that will help. We got our EIDL grant, the $10,000 thing, deposited Monday. So what we're utilizing this time to do, like I'm meeting with you, is to enhance our marketing, to really work on areas where in the past we've relied on the thing you don't rely on, where you say, well, sales will take care of all the maladies in the organization. Well,
Yeah.
we're working in those areas that we didn't work in the past. I'm sorry I went on and on and on, but
No, no, I think it's helpful. We got time. That's good. Yeah, thanks. Thanks for that. How about you, Chris? Why don't you tell us sort of who you are and what you got going? Yeah.
Okay, I'm Chris Bertolini, uh, up in Avery County, North Carolina, in Linville. Um, have a company called High Country Communications. We design, sell, install, and maintain mobile radio communication systems for public safety agencies, 911 centers, university, manufacturing. Um, and then we have some recurring revenue that's generated by infrastructure that we have deployed, mainly for businesses, grading contractors, and we have some municipal customers on that as well as some school systems. I started the company in 1992, and we started out small with a team of one, and then grew to about 11 people in 3 locations. And then back in 2015, I shut those down and brought them back home and went back down to 5 employees, which is what we have now. Our revenue is down a lot since from the first quarter of last year. And, honestly, I don't know what to attribute that to, other than this virus thing and people just not doing business. Our public safety agencies are all preoccupied with, by the way, we're about 95% public safety, and a little more than that when you consider other public institutions like App State and the hospital system. That's private, but they're preoccupied with that. And this time of the year, they start spending their end of the fiscal year money. And I think that's between the guys being preoccupied with COVID-19 and using that money for supplies that will help them through the COVID-19 challenges has affected us. We applied for the payroll protection and the EIDL, and we haven't heard back from either one of them yet. But we are, we still have everybody working, still making payroll. I sent out a memo to everybody that when you get your stimulus funds, don't go buy, parts for your motorcycle or your boat. You might want to hold on to it because we don't know quite how long this thing's going to last. And that may be some critical dollars that they need. I don't see me laying anybody off. There are 2 people we could lay off and still maintain. It's definitely daunting and challenging for us with everybody. Initially, I didn't think that we were really going to be affected by it because, in Avery County, we have no cases. People do take precautions, but it has. And I think I am finally to the point where, I can't attribute this to anything else but that.
All right.
So
Well,
we'll just, I think we're going to be okay through the end of the second quarter because we have projects that we're deploying and have paid for, and we'll get that revenue in.
Okay, good. That's useful. How about you, Dave? Tell us a little bit about. Yeah.
My name is David Winchester. I own a company here in Asheville. I started in 2007. We do security systems for homes and businesses, as well as the fire alarm systems, access control, low voltage wiring of any kind, including surveillance type cameras and some networking. Our business has dropped off pretty strongly since all this got started. kind of didn't expect it to be as quick of a drop off as it was, because we're, kind of like Chris, it's something that people have to use, on a day-to-day basis. And you would expect, commercial people and others to continue needing service and everything else, which is not what we have seen. I mean, we have picked up a little bit of service, but not a whole lot. We do have some projects in the pipeline that we're working on. I have also applied for the EIDL loan and or grant, and I think that they have deposited some money in the checking account. I'm not exactly sure, but it looks bigger than it was last time I looked, and I haven't talked to my bookkeeper today. So that's a possibility. I also applied for PPP, but they ran out of money before it was, all the way through channels. I got a call today from my banker that everything's set up, that if the funding is there, then pretty much everybody that they're working with, if they get funding, will end up with some. So, but that hinges on what the government's going to do as to whether or not they release more money as time goes forward. Looking for opportunities that I can, pursue to work together with other people and get some projects in place.
Thanks.
Chris, I have a question for you, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Are you currently doing the work with fire alarm systems and other communication systems within commercial buildings in order to guarantee the communication of the radio transmissions for emergency response personnel within commercial buildings being built?
Who's that directed to?
Chris?
Okay. Are we, we don't do security systems, no.
Well, this is guaranteed. You go into the site of a commercial building and guarantee that the emergency response personnel have use of their radios throughout the facility, which is a requirement from the fire alarm systems that are coming now.
The building codes for putting in, you're referring to as distributed antenna systems.
That's it.
And I think those building codes are county generated or city generated. And in our county and city, the code does not require that. And in Watauga County, where the university is, with new buildings they're going in, there's been no conversation about having to provide a certain percentage of coverage, portable coverage within a building.
Gotcha.
So if that was your question?
That was my question. I didn't mean to get off track. I out of the blue had a phone call a couple of weeks ago regarding that type of system, and then here you are. So
yeah,
it's funny how that happens.
the DAS system, the distributed antenna systems, originally were being installed mainly by radio companies like mine. But as you know, since it's become a requirement in a lot of areas, most areas, well, populated areas, metropolitan areas, companies have emerged that focus specifically on distributed antenna systems, and we work with them. We've worked with them, and we've put some in at a hospital up in Ashe County. But the combination of the code not requiring it and the companies that are specializing in that now, we don't do much of that. We certainly have the knowledge, and it's the same thing we do. We actually do more distributed antenna systems for cellular and Wi-Fi than we do with radio.
Right.
Yeah. All right, well, let's jump in here. That's good. Y'all can chat.
Thanks for the question, though.
I'm big on opportunities here. Sometimes these things happen, and never know. Everybody can do business with everybody. So on some level, particularly all of y'all are, pretty much business to business. So it's all good. We got the B2B here. All right. So let's go around and at least get one win a win or two in the last we'll call it last 3 weeks. Who's had it? So we'll start with Chris. What's a win that you've had?
Well, the most recent win, we are we're in the two-way radio industry. There are Motorola dealers, and then there are independent dealers, and that term comes from the 70s and 80s, but it still has shaken out that way. And we would be considered an independent dealer, which allows us to provide multiple options to our customers, which keeps us from having to put a square peg in a round hole. And so the Motorola companies are our major competitors, and it's always nice when we take a big chunk of meat out of the jaws of the dragon. And we have a manufacturing plant down in the Gastonia area where Motorola was in there hard and heavy designing a system, and we got a call, and we proposed our design and solution for them, and we got the order last week, and it's to cover two plants, linked together, and we were able to provide a solution that allowed them to have portable radio communication from inside one manufacturing facility to 7 miles away inside another manufacturing facility. So that was a pretty nice win for us. And the other one is in Carter County, Tennessee, in the city of Elizabethton. They were literally a 60-year Motorola customer. We went in and provided a solution for them, infrastructure and mobiles and portables, and we took that out of the jaws of the Motorola dealer. So yeah, those are a couple of wins for us for sure.
Nice. Yeah, I like to start with wins because there's usually something good that's happened, and sometimes we don't think about it as humans. So David, how about you? What kind of wins have you had?
Wins are some positive movement on getting some funding to help keep my guys employed. We also have a project that we had been working with the client for quite some time. They've given us the go ahead, so we ordered parts as of today, actually. So we'll get started on that probably within a week.
Oh, congratulations! Yeah. How about you, Russ? Win or two?
Main win has been the PPP approval, and the other is we've got a large chunk of business in colleges and universities and police departments, that type thing that has been put on hold, but that we know at the tail end of this will come about, and we're still getting paid by these folks, so that's very important.
Yeah. No, it's good. All right, what about challenges? We'll go the other way. So Russ, what's your biggest challenge right now?
Just the fact that so many people are just not purchasing anything. You gotta wait and see. I will tell you, one of the industries that we were planning on hitting hot and heavy, and I'd always made the statement, if there was ever an economic downturn, it would be affected greatly, is all the craft brewers. And what I'm thinking is at the tail end of this, there's going to be a lot fewer of them standing. And if we had invested the money I was planning on investing in that, it may or may not, like anything else, have paid off. So I'm glad we held off on a lot of what we were doing in that particular market.
What was the market, Russell?
Craft brewers.
Oh, craft breweries. Okay.
Yeah. All these craft breweries. Yeah.
Yeah, we got craft brewers everywhere. Yeah, it's here to stay, but I mean, I think the weaker ones you're right. I mean, they have no way to deal with it. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, the number one craft brewer that was the beginning of all of this in Colorado is having some real challenges keeping their doors open right now. So it'll be interesting to see how that flies through the United States once things get back to normal again.
Yeah, that's right.
I think one of the first places people are going to go to when this is over is they're going to hit their watering holes again. So
yeah, I mean alcohol's here to stay. It's just like who's doing a good job, who can pivot. So yeah, so where am I? Challenges, David, challenges. Yeah.
Challenges is securing new business at this point, so that we can keep the guys busy and looking for those new opportunities, and basically working with the existing clients that we have so that we can keep expanding what we're doing and taking care of my clients.
Sure. Yeah, I got it. And how about you, Chris? Biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge right now for us is fulfillment. We've got a few pretty major deployments we're trying to complete, and of course, you get those completed and then you get paid. So I'd say my biggest challenge right now is fulfillment. One project in particular where we need to get deployed, and we're lucky that we have other ones lined up behind that. But when I don't know how large you all's companies are, but we have 5 people, and our annual revenue is normally about the same as a company that has twice the personnel that we do. So be careful what we ask for. I go out and I get the business and I get these big systems and get people committed to working with us. Well, hell, then you got to do the work. And so I think our biggest challenge right now is getting these projects completed and tied up.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Good. So what have we learned? What have been the learnings? We'll start with you, David, this time. What have been the learnings?
The learnings from all of this that's been going on, or?
Yeah, what's the biggest learning that you've got?
The biggest learning is communication. One of those first type things that I sat in with you, I guess 3 or 4 weeks ago now, was communicating with my employees and my clients, which has been something that I had thought I was going to avoid, but I ended up not avoiding it, and it turned out to be a very positive experience to communicate with everybody. I've also learned that our government is not very friendly when it comes to North Carolina, because they're just shutting everything down left and right and not opening things back up the way that I think that they should, and not quite sure where we're going to go in the process with that. So, but that's a story for a different day, I'm sure.
Yeah. How about you, Russ? What have you learned?
Something different every day, but just keeping up. I've as was previously stated, this has become another opportunity for finger pointing, and I'm in a divided household. My wife and I are polar opposites from a political standpoint. So there's not much discussion going on about that, because I cut it off.
I understand. How about you, Chris? What kind of learnings have you had over the last few weeks?
Well, I've learned to, and this has happened a couple of times over my career, but I've learned or relearned to recognize challenges like this as early as we can. As I said before, we did. I think David said the same thing. We initially didn't think this was really going to affect our business, but it has. It's affected mine tremendously. So I think learning to open my mind up to recognizing these types of challenges when they're there, and then of course, by recognizing them, then we can determine what our plan is to deal with it. One of the things I want to learn from this is, as not minimizing the unfortunate situations a lot of people are in because of the virus, is trying to determine if there are any opportunities that will be created because of this. So I'm going to be thinking about that over the next couple of weeks. What opportunities does it present to us? Other than just when it's all over, people will start doing business again. Because I think that it's one of the things that I don't want to recognize and don't want to accept. But unfortunately, I think this is going to change the way we live. and it's going to change the way we do business. So recognizing that and you know, maximizing the opportunities from it.
Yeah, I'm
I tend to
clear on
agree,
that.
and I think that this format that we're using is going to be very strongly continued, which I don't care for. But I mean, I would much rather be, you know, on the phone or face to face with somebody. I'm not a millennial either, so it's all relative. So
This is Dick Tracy stuff. Look, I'm clear that, you know, 2001, I mean, I've been through, I don't know how many y'all been through. I've been through at least 4, maybe 5 of these pullbacks economically. I mean, I can't speak to the medical side of this thing, but I can talk economically. And, 2001 changed the way we fly. I mean, going through airports and all that. This is definitely going to change the way we do business. And so communication, and I'm gonna tell you, in every great crisis, there are opportunities. And that's what I've been spending my focus on is, David's heard me. My mantra is pretty simple. Hey, the race has been interrupted, but the pace car is back out, and you got to be ready for the restart. It's going to be interesting when this thing restarts. So, all right, so let's move on to enough pontificating there. So the next piece of this is sort of for you. Like, what do you? So this is the time where you can ask for, like, okay, what do you want feedback on? You got an idea, or you got a challenge you want help with from the group, or something like that. So, what's your idea or your challenge that you want some help from the group with? So, and we'll just brainstorm and we'll go around a little bit. So, David, I think we'll start with you. What do you want some feedback on? Yeah.
We have, of course, Bill and I are working together on hiring a salesperson for my company at this point. Trying to get somebody on board that can get out there and shake the bushes and see what falls out of them. From a business standpoint on completion of project, we have one project that we're supposed to be working with that's a nursing home facility. And I'm not sure how comfortable I feel about going in, and I'm not sure how comfortable they feel about letting us in at this particular time. And I don't know how much longer that's going to last, but we're supposed to complete that project by the 6th of June. So that one's knocking on my door in a hurry. So not quite sure how to approach that one at this point.
Any ideas?
Do you already have the business?
I do.
Okay, you need to figure out how to get in there and do the job.
Right. They're under contract with somebody else.
Yeah, sorry.
They're under contract with somebody else, and their contract with them runs out the 6th of June. So that's what they're looking for us to, get in there and take over their existing contract, or redo the contract once that other one terminates.
Yeah, there's 2 challenges there. One is, what should we do about the nursing homes, if anything? And number 2, what should we do about getting, beating the bushes and getting some new business? So there's sort of 2 there.
Well, if the contract's over June 6th, I'm hoping that things will be a little bit better by then. But yeah, nursing homes are are you doing a camera system?
It's fire alarm stuff.
Fire
life
alarm.
safety. Yeah, life safety.
Do you have to be in the rooms?
Not the individual rooms, but we would be in the common areas, and the majority of people are pretty much located in the common areas all the time, the ambulatory ones. I mean, there are some that are in the rooms, but most of their ambulatory people are pretty social, in the sense that they are very quick to talk to you when you come in the door, even though they speak a different language than I do. So it's kind of interesting.
How many people will have to be in the building through the project?
Minimum of 2.
Yeah, 2 or 3. So
Yeah.
you could, if you can arrange it, to have a doctor or whatever medical practice you have, to while I don't think that I don't even know if there are tests available yet, for the virus, but you know, you could have some kind of some kind of letter or something from a doctor saying that your people are not infected and don't have the virus, you know, to give the, and then is the nursing home part of a larger corporate, you know, a lot of these nursing homes have consolidated.
It's a local company that is, they tailor to a certain ethnic group that, but it's a local guy that owns it.
Okay, so it's a one shop, so that might be better for you because you know they're not subject to some big corporate policy. So it, you know, it sounds like you just have to convince them that your people are healthy and don't have the virus. And it's only going to be a couple of people. I would think that if it's something that they want and that they're you know they're going to pay for and spend money on, and it's important to them, then you know, maybe that'll ease his mind on letting you in there.
That's a good plan. And on the flip side, maybe do the same thing for them too, because the majority of their staff that lives on site, they don't use staff that comes and goes all day every day.
Yeah, so that's that.
Staff pretty much lives there 24/7.
Yeah. All right, cool. Russ, what do you need some feedback on, or got a challenge you want some help with?
What are you guys doing to market your business during this downtime?
I've been reaching out to my clients to communicate with them that we're still here and, you know, offering, you know, solutions that, you know, we can help you out with, or, you know, updates and stuff like that for your existing systems is what my primary focus has been with marketing. And then we got some small stuff that, you know, is ongoing continuation of things that we've done in the past. But as far as a marketing push during this time, nothing out of the ordinary other than communication with existing clients.
Chris?
For marketing, we're not really doing anything for marketing any different than we have. I miss being able to go out and, you know, and have face-to-face with customers. You know, but most of our customers are not working, or they're if they're working, they're, you know, aware of, you know, having other people come to their places. We just you know, stay in touch with them and make sure that you know, a lot of these folks have time on their hands now. If they're not actively involved, and it's the emergency management guys that are actively involved, but everybody else that's working they have a lot of downtime right now. I can tell by the types of emails I'm getting. So therefore, you know, they say, okay, well, I'm going to call High Country and get this taken care of, or talk with them about this. So, you know, what we're doing is making sure that we're responsive to that. You know, if somebody comes in with a request, instead of waiting a day or so to get back with them because we're so busy, you know, we get back to them immediately and start that conversation going. But
let me ask, and it may not be a situation. There's a possibility from us. We contribute very heavily to Man a Food Bank, and WLOS is running it. Of course, what you got to do is run a WLOS ad and dedicate some of that to MANA and give an additional donation. Is that something from a standpoint, you know, my idea is there's probably a lot more viewership right now than there are under normal circumstances. Is that something that either of you, if that fit your marketing plan, would do? Or Bill?
There is a charter, I guess, well, Spectrum, whoever it is now, they are offering through the end of this month a free commercial that I'm supposed to be getting with the one of the representatives later on this week. I'm not exactly sure what that is. I've never done a TV commercial or a radio spot, or I mean, I've done a couple of radio spots on the drive times where they, it's their voiceover for a predetermined message kind of thing, but that's about it. As far as success from that, I'm not sure. You're getting your name out there with that type of situation more than expecting more business at that particular point. But if you're pushing a lot of donations to Manna Food Bank, I think this would be a great time to highlight that. I mean, we were watching the TV last night, and Hawk Law was doing their thing in South Carolina where they're going and giving away boxes of food to people, and they had their little guys out there with their signs. So, yeah, it's kind of hokey, but they are being a proactive portion of the situation that's happening right now. So.
Well, look for George Sink to come behind.
Yeah. I'm Russ. I think it's a good idea. I think it's a great idea. I'm gonna weigh in on this one because I've been working on this pretty hard, because I think as people have been hesitant to market and sell during this thing, but we got people to feed too. We got businesses to support, and yeah, the PPP is going to help us for a little while, or the EIDL, or both, or whatever we get. But at the end of the day, I think we got to continue to market. Now the tone needs to be a little different. It's got to be a little more compassionate. It's not like, hey, here's what I got. I think the message is we're here, and whatever you need, we're here to help. If you need something we've got, great. Or, pivot a little bit. What are people, I know some people in your industry have taken and, started logoing face masks for companies, when they go back to work. But I think it's so I think for clients, it's get on the phone. Get on the phone, talk, get on the phone, clients, and 20/80, obviously, top 20%, you need to be all over those people, just saying, hey, we're here. We know we may not be buying right now, but I'll let you know we're, if there's anything you need, or we can help you anyway. I mean, even if it's like you say, donate to the thing. But for prospects, I think it's about building relationships. So you'd do that the same way you do it. You just got to do it on phone or Zoom or something like this. I mean, that's what it's about. So then, and then I think we got to use technology as part of the deal. And whether that's the phone, the phone's still technology. It's just old technology. We all know how to use that. I mean, like you say, none of us are millennials. But at the end of the day, yeah, we know how to use those. So I think it's get on the phone. I mean, that's my thing. Get on the phone, get on, get on here, get on whatever you need to. And, be talking to these people. The communication, they'll appreciate it. And, they're getting bombarded with emails. I feel sort of guilty too, because I'm sending a ton of emails, but what I'm doing that for is try to arrange things like this where we can all talk to each other, actually do something to have a chat. So, I don't know what happened to Chris. He flipped off. Maybe he'll jump back in here, or maybe he had to go. I don't know. Does that help?
Yes.
I mean, I think you get your team to be working just like, I mean, you got a bunch of, you got people selling, so let's get them selling. Let's whoever the salespeople are, they need to be on. And maybe some of the people, if we're not producing anything, then maybe that some of them need to get on the phone. We got scripts. That's what they're for. Let's call everybody and tell them we're here and we're not working, but we want to reach out. And so it's sort of like a telethon. I mean, everybody can communicate. So I'm a bit on the bandwagon about phones and about using the phone. So
that is one thing we're doing. Charlotte Mecklenburg Library has some great. I think it cost us $60 a year to have a membership. Have great reference material as far as business. And what we're doing is reaching out to find out who, like an automobile dealership, is the sales manager, parts manager, service manager, and building databases. Yeah, that's one of the main things we're doing right now.
And a lot of them have time to talk to you. They're not, they're not either not working or not busy. If they're at work, a lot of them will be back at work. Now that's going to be interesting when they go back to work. That's why I say right now we need to be developing. Hang on, I got to let Chris back in.
Russell, what geographical area are you in? Are you in the Charlotte-Mecklenburg area, or are you here?
We are in the Carolinas. We've got customers as far up as Tidewater, Virginia, regular customers in East Tennessee. We've got customers all over the country, but a lot of them are just, we hear from them once a year, that type thing. They might order a product identification label or a nameplate or, that type thing. On the apparel thing, we do our corporate apparel, our apparel division does a lot of contract embroidery. They do embroidery for Cintas and a number of different people. So what we've always done here to keep an arm's length is my salesmen get the same price everybody else does, and we stay out of accounts that people we are servicing like Cintas have. So what we have done is we're a member of the several of ad specialty associations, and we joined for corporate apparel, and what they're actually doing is getting some orders for people that are sending caps in to be embroidered and that type thing from a variety of different areas. So smaller, somebody may have an order for 80 caps and they don't have embroidery capabilities or whatever, and that's beginning to work out. So it's forcing us to concentrate on some things we haven't necessarily done before. Bill, one thing we've chosen to do at this point, and it may be a bad decision because I've made a lot of them, but as far as the mask and hand sanitizers, we've got a lot of people, got a lot of availability to that. But my concern is short-term gain for long-term relationships. So we've frankly stayed out of that because the marketplace is not determined where the price level is.
It's just something that some people have done to pivot. That's okay. That's their choice. I mean, I think there are other ways to shift or adjust. How about you, Chris? What do you need help with? Or what do you need ideas on? Yeah.
What do I need help with?
Yeah. Got a lot of smart people here in this room.
Yeah. David mentioned, and you've mentioned to me in the past, one of the things I need to do is get a sales rep in here. And my biggest challenge with that is getting one in here that will generate new business versus spending time, servicing existing accounts.
That's like Russ shaking his head.
It would be good if
salespeople, not order takers.
Huh?
Somebody knows how to
We want
prospect.
salespeople, not order takers.
Yeah, I've got those. And so I've got my commission plan. I've got one guy that is it's coming down that wants to work for me, and career sales guy, and he's about half his career was in the industry, and he's a rescue squad guy. So that's something that I'm looking at in July when he comes down. But I guess if I look at what I need help with in the big picture is, and this may put me back a year, but my exit strategy has been in place and working for a few years now. And, in another 3 years, I want to be in a position where, I have options. to exit out of the business or change my role, reduce my role in the business. And, you know, one of the things is finding somebody to come in that can work for a few years that's interested in that kind of thing, you know, interested in maybe owning this company or at the very least, you know, being the general manager of the company and managing the day-to-day operations of it. You know, I'm 60 years old, and while I've been able to adapt over the past 10 years with the newer generation coming in, the much younger folks in their late 20s, early 30s that are becoming my customers and my contacts, you know, it's good to have somebody that hasn't been doing this for 35 years and is more excited about it than I am, even though I look forward to coming to work every day. And with the exception of worrying about the profitability of the company, I love everything in my company. So I guess my biggest challenge is continuing to plan my exit. And I think the best answer I've come up with that is to be debt-free and profitable at that time, because if I'm debt-free and profitable, then my options open up a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, both you guys, Russell,
Ideas?
and David, both you guys are my age or a little older, and you know, so I'm sure you've thought about that as well.
Right.
I've determined my exit strategy is they're going to carry me out toes up.
That's because he can't go home because he can't talk to his wife about politics. Yeah. Any other ideas for him about that? Any questions or ideas or thoughts or how to do it?
It's kind of a big picture question, but
yeah, I mean, there's I'll just go into my rant on this. There's three ways to sell a business. You can sell it to an employee, you can sell it to somebody who's got a business strategic reason to buy it. So somebody who's in your business, a competitor or a different geography or something like that. Or you can sell it to somebody outside. That's it. That's the only three people that can buy your business. So if you think about it. So
what do you mean by sell it to somebody outside
well, like
the industry?
Somebody who just buys businesses. So if it's a profitable business that can run by itself and can make a certain amount of income, then there are people who might be interested in buying it, you know, or coming in and you know, taking over it. That's usually a harder route, but it happens. And if you're big enough, then, you know, you can get, I mean, that's where you hear, you got to be pretty big, a lot bigger than to get an outside fund. But that's it. That's it. So to get a mentor or somebody who would buy, you know, a mentee who would come in, you teach them the business with the ideas of them buying it is a strategy. Of course, keeping in contact with people who, you know, might be, you know, own something similar in a different part of the world would be another strategy. And probably the hardest way to sell it would be to sell it to somebody who knows absolutely nothing about it, but it's just an investor. That's why I always, you know, my deal is, how do you get a business that can run without you? Like, if you can leave for 6 months, then the business is sellable. You know, it's got to be able, that's what we work with people on to get them to that. So the thought is deciding like what's best for you and your business. I mean, I've always liked the idea of bringing on somebody who had a little bit of a knack, and, you know, that you could eventually use the business to pay you out. They could use the business to pay you out, or potentially go get a SBA loan that would, and you could get your money, and then they could pay part of it over time as well. So just my thoughts.
Guys, yeah. I apologize. I'm going to have to leave. I've got a meeting.
Yeah, let me just, if you could just take 1 second and tell me like what kind of value you got out of today, Russ, and then you can cut off. Yeah.
Well, it's always very good discussing things with other people. I internalize a lot. My son is in business with me, and we have a lot of discussions. But you know, from a standpoint, everything else is pretty much filtered here. So I look forward to more of this because I want to hear from people, get other opinions. You know, my kingship has just come about in time, not necessarily because I'm the smartest person in the building. So
Yeah.
you know, that is the thing. But now what we've got to do is have a board meeting to establish. We're putting everything in our small business, which is in an account, which is a credit union that we don't normally use day to day. So in order for everything to be clean, we're opening up an account where everything payroll wise flows through there, because as you know, at a point in time, we're going to have to answer to the government. If we want to make that as clean as it possibly can, rather than having an account and then intermingling it with our regular operational.
That is a great idea.
Look, yeah. Well, thanks. Yeah, that's probably a good idea for some other people. Yeah, thanks for being on the call, Russ. I know if you got to go, I appreciate you being here, and we'll chat later. Yeah.
Well, thanks for the invitation, Bill. You guys, wish you all the success in the world. Look forward to talking with you again.
Thanks, Russ.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. If you guys, I'm going to ask you the same question, like what value you got from today, or what your number one takeaway is. If you wouldn't mind just looking at the camera, we are going to probably do some testimonials out of this. And if you don't want me to use you, then just say so and I won't. But otherwise, I'm going to assume we're good to use it. So, David, what kind of value did you get out of today?
As I really value everybody else's opinion on different, you know, the items that we bring up through the discussions that we have. It's nice to hear a different perspective, even though it may be the same thing that you're thinking, but in different terms. It may cement that idea a whole lot better. And I really appreciate the opportunity that we have together to do this and get together and have these discussions.
Yeah, thanks, David. How about you, Chris? What's the number one takeaway, or what kind of value have you gotten out of today? You're on mute.
I was involved in a peer-to-peer group several years ago, and as small business owners, Bill's lucky enough to have his son working with him, but really small business owners, we it's a lonely job, and we don't have the opportunity. We don't have boards and boards of directors where we can make decisions and discuss things. And anytime I can collaborate with other small business owners, and over time you kind of created informal board, whereas the more you meet, the more people, the more the other people understand about you and understand about your company and your common challenges as well as your unique challenges. And I like the idea of people in other companies and other industries being able to help you think outside the box for solutions. So just the collaboration and being able to discuss your challenges with others that are in the same position is really valuable.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Hey, I really appreciate everybody being on the call today. I'll let you know. I'm going to keep doing these for a while. So anyway, I'll let you know. Maybe we'll jump on another one along the way. So anyway, yeah, have a great rest of the week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, we'll see you.
Thanks so much, Bill.
See you guys. Yeah, my pleasure.